controversial topic.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. I'd like to talk about something that most of you probably have never heard of. I know I've never heard of it, but since it came across my path, I researched it a little bit, and it may be a turn off to some, but I think it's interesting. So let's do this. Let me turn this. NESARA GESARA. That's the name of what I'm going to talk about. If you've heard of it, then hit me up in the comments and tell me what you think. Otherwise, let me jump right on into this. The media categorizes this movement as a conspiracy theory, first and foremost. Everything that I'm saying is alleged. It's not my opinions. I'm just going by what I've read. NESARA GESARA is an idea that the U.S. economy could be radically reset in order to wipe out debt. NESARA was a set of economic reform proposals that were never introduced to Congress during the 1990s. And y'all remember the 1990s. It was a great time of easier living here in America for all. Jobs were plentiful until the free trade agreement that Bill Clinton allowed to happen. And, a lot of American industry went overseas for the cheap labor. And right now this is my opinion, I think that we're suffering from that. But back to NESARA. It is alleged that Shania Candace Goodwin submitted the proposal in the early 2000s and that Congress secretly passed this bill. And once again, it is alleged that George W. Bush and his administration suppressed the bill after the 9/11 attacks. Of course, that was a sad day in our history, but duly it served as a major distraction. Yes. Now, as far as the NESARA bill, this is what it proposed. I've never seen it. I'm just going by what I've read. Once again, like I said, this always allegedly, because I just came across it. The proposal included abolishing compound interest on all loans, replacing income tax with a national sales tax, and returning U.S. currency to the gold standard, either backing the American dollar for gold so it would have value, because as it stands, the dollar stands on its own, backed by nothing, or they would use something called a bimetallic, such as gold or silver, that would be used as our currency. By implementing this ideology, it would make America have a stable economy and zero inflation. Harvey Francis Barnard was the private citizen who came up with this proposal to Congress. It was a private citizen. Well, I ain't gonna get into all of that. Anyway, he felt that debt is the reason that keeps the economy from growing and that compound interest is the main reason for debt. That is the basis of this movement, the NESARA movement. Now, this brings me back to the Democratic doctrine that was published in a specific newspaper in the 1850s. And it probably was how the newspaper viewed the Democratic Party back then, not necessarily how the Democratic Party was. But, I do think the Democratic Party has its ways, but I'm not going to say that this is what they felt. Anyway, it was published that the Democrats in Congress back then wanted everyone to be a slave to a system, not just blacks, but any color. And the goal was to keep the majority poor. I came across this doctrine when looking up some things that I was trying to put together for a documentary that I'm doing. And that's how I came across that. Anyway, poverty is just another form of slavery. And I'm not going to say it's what Democrats want. It could be seen as a rich person's thing to keep the polarity of life in eternal misalignment. As you know, there is no dark without light, no good without bad, and no rich without poor. Think about it. If everyone were debt free, then being rich would mean nothing. There would be no distinction. Can you get that? You understand that part? Okay. And not many would believe there are those working for their greater despair in life rather than for the greater good. What I mean by that, we listen to these politicians. They tell us things that we want to hear. Now, I'm not saying nothing against the United States government, so I'm just saying. Many are born believing this is how it's supposed to be. Now, I'm going to bring in the biblical point. God did not create the world like this for some to enjoy and for others to suffer. All in all, it's giving back money to the people who have been financially abused for millennia. That's what the NESARA means. Giving back to the people who have been abused financially for millennia. Now, with all that being said, the NESARA theory has been discussed globally for all, and that is the GESARA part. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm just going to leave it at that because this is the kind of subject that can get you looked at by those who don't want you to think of such things or even talk about them. And I'm going to end it right there. Thank you very much for tuning in.